Yeah, so anyways, the donkey lived, but he's just never going to see cupcakes the same way again.
It was such a shame.
Yeah.
Those cupcakes were looking good, and he's going to miss out.
Yeah. And,
Guys, we gotta record.
okay,
Al.
yeah. Hey, Al! Al!
Huh? What?
Dude, come on, we're about to start. What are you even doing?
Oh, sorry. I was playing this mobile game and I was about to put in my credit card information.
Welcome to the LCS Online, guys. I am your host, Charlie.
I'm Al.
And Josh.
And today, we are talking about something that every gamer dreads. Microtransactions. That's right. Do you have to pay money to play a game that you already bought because life is terrible?
You don't, but you will.
You shouldn't, but most of the time you do.
Oh, guys. So this is a real problem plaguing every gamer of every platform, walk of life kind of deal, right?
Yep.
I mean, as someone who plays shooters primarily, right?
Oh, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, my games are literally all just riddled with microtransactions. And, you know, I understand adding something to a base game, right? But that's not the problem with microtransactions. The problem is, like, you're paying to get stuff that should already be in-game.
Yeah. Like the one that really just made me realize how bad this was getting was actually a while ago with Asura's Wrath. Because you play the game, you beat the game. It's a single-player game. And then it's like, okay, you got the ending. Pay us $10 to get the true ending. And I'm just like, wait, what?
Nonsense.
No, and you know, I have this belief, right, that microtransactions are bad when they involve anything gameplay related. And I mean anything. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to pay for a cool skin that's not going to do anything for your games,
Just
right?
cosmetic.
Yeah, exactly. But paying for exclusive weapons, paying for something that's like barely able to be called a DLC, that's ludicrous. You know?
Especially for multiplayer games, because then it just becomes pay to win.
Absolutely.
Perfect example. I think one of the first huge problems with it was Black Ops 3. Bought it because all my friends had it, hit max prestige. Then all of a sudden, here they have in the loot boxes guns that are different and better than all the other ones. So I'm playing and I keep getting shredded by all these guys that have this gun you have to pay money for. So there I am wanting to do all that too. So here I am spending money on it to try to get the same gun.
Yeah.
And I get it. Wonderful. Next week, here's a new one. And then they keep going. And then it's in the next game. And then the next game. And it would be fine if it was just a skin, like Charlie said, but it's not. It's something that gives you an advantage in the game.
Absolutely. And I mean, pay-to-play has always been something that, in my eyes, has been exclusive to non-system games or non-PC games, right? Like, you expect to pay to get far in a mobile game, right? But, you know, there's a certain niche for that. Most of the games are free anyways, so they have to make revenue, whatever. You know, we understand that. But when you're paying $60 for a game, you expect the value to be there instead of having to be like, okay, it's $60 to get the base game. Now, to get the new maps, it's another 10. To get the new guns, it's another 10.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, you might as well just go out and get a new game.
Or just wait for the Game of the Year edition that will inevitably come out with all of the stuff in it.
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, there are so many solutions to this, like, terrible problem that no one wants to implement. Because why? Because we, like, stupid people, decide to pay. Yeah, we pay. We pay. That's what we do. We love our games, and we're just like, okay, maybe it's worth it, when it never really is.
Yeah, and so, like, my thoughts on microtransactions are a little different than yours. I think if a game is free, then, and it's a good game, I'm not just talking like, you know, those like, oh, there's a timer, you have to pay to get energy to use something. Like, I'm talking like it's an actual good game, like Warframe. It's a completely free game. From what I remember, all the microtransactions are cosmetics only, and it's like, I wouldn't mind paying money for that. It's like, you know, you're not asking for money up front. I don't mind shelling out like a couple dollars for a skin or something to support you and look cool. Like, I just kind of think if you pay money for a game, you should have the full game.
I agree. And I think the biggest problem is that when we're looking at DLC as a whole, a lot of it like gets broken up, right? So
Yeah.
you can imagine paying $5 for this gun that's only in this season, or paying $5 for a specific item that only exists in that season of the DLC, right? And that dilutes the value of a DLC, right? Because you're paying extra for extra game, but then on top of it, you have so much like of these little parts that can add value to a game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that all microtransactions are useless, or all things that you can buy in a game are useless. But the delusion is that the game can really exist without those items, right?
Yeah.
Like your experience is like a lot worse without certain items, like Josh was talking about. And when it comes down to it, us as gamers, we invest in these games not just by paying for them, right? But by playing. How many hours have you spent on your favorite game?
Oh, far too many. I want to
500
say
plus.
minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, minimum 500.
Yeah, so imagine, if you're not paying for that item, imagine how the grind dilutes how much you like your game hour by hour.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I play Destiny. I know what a grind is. It's terrible, okay? But, before the loot system was fixed, it just felt like there was no possible way to get the things I wanted.
Yeah.
And that's terrible for a gamer. Or really anyone who buys anything for the getting out of your head kind of deal, right? So I think this is affecting more than just individual games, right? To me, this is affecting our industry.
The worst part about it is these transactions, like for the gun or that item I want, it's mostly loot box based. So there's a chance that I can get what I want. Which means if I don't get it, I'm going to chance it even more and spend more money. So for like that skin I want for that character I like, I could get a different skin for like 20 other characters. And by the way, it's like a 4% chance I'll even get it. And all the other times I'm just getting useless crap I don't want. And I don't want to, like, it'd be different if I spend this much money and get exactly what I want. No, it's spend this much money and you'll most likely not get what you want. And so many games have that, whether it's the sports games with their packs, and they finally, in like some countries, were forced to release their statistics, and it's like a 3% chance that you'll even get a good item, and then out of like a pool of like 1,000 things, you might get what you want.
Yeah, and to me, the idea of just having this randomized like loot system, it works in game. Like it makes sense to only get certain items at by chance, and I think that's why I appreciate games like Destiny. I know I sound like a broken record, but okay. But anyways, yeah, because at one point in the game, in the first Destiny, I don't know if you guys know about this, but there was this weapon called the Galhorn. It was this rocket launcher that was just like super OP. It melted bosses, and no one wanted to play with you unless you had it. Okay, so that became a huge problem, and what happened was there needed to be a solution to it, but instead of having a solution, intricately designed into the game, what they did is they had an ability to buy it. Well, I mean, you paid for something to get like the currency to give to another guy, and then you get it from him, right? But it just devalued the weapon. First of all, it made hours and hours and hours of grinding obsolete. Which imagine grinding for your favorite weapon, etc., etc. You're gonna be pissed that some guy just went out and spent $5 to get the thing that you worked hours to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's what microtransactions, even on like a case where you can still get the item if you don't pay, but you have to grind to get it. And that's a real problem.
EA Games. It's in your wallet.
I apologize for that. I honestly think he had a good starter and it didn't work out.
We kind of just let him go with it, and that's what we got.
That's our fault. Mea culpa.
It'll totally happen again. Don't worry.
Every intro to every video going forward is gonna be that.
But yeah, one of my biggest problems is with EA because not only do they mess up microtransactions for multiplayer games, like if you look back at how Star Wars Battlefront 2 was handled, where you literally could either pay like, I think it was like $30-$20 to play as Darth Vader, or you can grind for literally
Like 50,
weeks.
Yeah, it was like 50 plus hours or something.
Wasn't that the thing with the rubber band on the remote to like keep them like running in circles?
So
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, but not only that, there are single-player games that I love, like Mass Effect, like Dragon Age, that have these microtransactions squeeze their way in, and ruining the experience. It's microtransactions are not needed for a single-player experience. The only thing that should happen, I think, is DLC. And it should be literally added on. It should not be kind of just like, we cut out part of the story and we put it to the side. We're going to give it to you later as paid DLC.
Yeah, it should be almost like having another little game inside of the game you already bought. I mean, that's the point of DLC.
I think Mass Effect 3 is one of the weaker ones in the series, but I will say that the expansion that came with it, it added an entirely new story that wasn't cut out of the game. It added a new party member. It did all this stuff, and that was good. What isn't good is when you have games that take out the ending, that take out key plot points, and are like, we'll tell you later. We'll tell you later. Hold on. You'll see it later. See it later. $20. We'll tell you later.
A lot of games have like the DLC now coming out like 3 weeks after launch. Like you didn't get that story done in 3 weeks.
Yeah, you did not finish. You didn't do all the. You cut it out.
Story and gave it to us for an extra 20. It's greedy.
No, and you know what? The problem here is that on one side, the industry as a whole realizes they can make a lot of money by doing this DLC stuff. But on the other hand, it's like it's causing serious problems for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't tell you how far Battlefront would have gone if they just stuck to at least a reasonable formula for how to get the things that you could have just bought, right? But Battlefront just got kiboshed.
Yeah.
It just got the project got completely ground to a halt because it was so unpopular that there was no point in moving forward because no one would get anything. No one would buy anything else for Battlefront, The
only good thing that came out of it was that apparently Lucasfilm's games is coming back. So
True.
EA will no longer have the sole rights to Star Wars games. So we might get some good Star Wars games finally.
And we have Respawn working on the new one, but that's under EA. So, here we go again.
Yeah, but, it's my thought that if more, smaller or more independent developers decide to say, hey, look, I get it, you want money, but this is, affecting our game.
Exactly.
Our blood, sweat, and tears, that there's going to be a big change in the industry. I mean, we already saw it with... How many times am I going to say Destiny this time? But
I'm betting on 7.
Yeah, I know, right? But really, Destiny broke up with Activision over their terrible, should I say terrible one more time? Terrible treatment of their game, right? I mean, the silver system just got way out of control. There was no way to bring it back without telling their bosses, we're done.
Yep.
We're out of here. And thankfully, they kept the rights. They retained the rights. And, I have high hopes for Destiny moving forward, right? But it took a lot out of them to do that breakup.
Yeah. Now we have Activision working with Blizzard, and look what Blizzard's become. Overwatch, loot boxes that kind of brought the loot boxes into the limelight.
You guys all have cell phones, right?
Yep. The new game coming out. Everyone's hyped for Diablo 4. Nope, we get a mobile game, which is, guess what? Most of you are going to have a ton of microtransactions on your phone, which no one really wanted. And then we have Hearthstone, which the entire community hates the developers for because they don't care about any of the players. Every expansion 3 times a year, everyone's spending $50 to get it. I've spent like $400 in that game over the course of the past 5 years, just a couple times a year. Just got to crank those out to get the new cards. And it's awful, and they don't care, and they just keep giving up new bundles to spend more money, and all these skins to spend more money on a card game.
And you know what? I think the biggest problem, like, we can talk about how, we hate paying for extra stuff, we believe, but I think the biggest problem that we face in gaming in general that has to do with directly with microtransactions is that it makes lazy developers.
Yeah.
Because if you can just, create a story and then cut out a little bit to sell it piece by piece, right? You're not thinking how to expand the universe. You're not thinking about how to make, relations more interesting inside of game. You're just thinking about, okay, can I, slightly remove this part and then sell it back to the consumer? No, I mean, that's not how great games were made. Think about your favorite games of all time. Classics, any Link game or any Zelda game.
Link to the Past. Yeah. Boom. There we go.
Exactly. All of those had incredibly intricate, mechanics developed so that the gamer just got completely immersed into it.
Even the newest one, Breath of the Wild, it had a DLC that gave an entirely new story aspect that delves deeper into characters that we already know. The game it's totally, you can play it totally fine without it and not lose anything, but getting it, you learn that much more about them. You get a sweet motorcycle. It's it's done right. Yeah. The DLC expanded on the world instead of just being cut content that was added in later.
Can you imagine playing Link to the Past back in the day, and you're about to get the Master Sword to get you through the rest of the game, and it says enter your credit card information in to get this.
Oh yeah.
You want the boomerang? $2.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really makes it crazy, and really makes it just so offensive to gamers is that we pay for this immersion, and it's not just we pay, like I said before, it's not like we just pay in money. We pay in hours. We play in blood, sweat, and tears. We campaign for these games. We say it's going to be awesome. We tell our friends.
We pre-order.
And really, when it comes down to it, we are being railroaded by these companies for $5.
Yep.
And if that's what, my patronage as a consumer of these games is going to be worth, I'm going to think twice about getting that next new game.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's also affecting kids because, say, parents have their credit card info on their PlayStation or their Xbox, and the kid's going through playing a game and it's oh, I need to pay this much to get this cool new gun. Just click, and next thing you know...
Accidentally.
Yeah.
I promise, Mom, it was an accident.
There have been stories in the news of people that have just found out that their card has been charged 20 times over because their kid is at home buying a bunch of stuff on with microtransactions.
And you know what? I think the biggest thing that we can all agree on, and what this video really boils down to, is microtransactions are bad for games. And that's just the honest truth. There's no getting around it.
Yeah. If you have to pay for the game, you should have the game. Anything extra should be just that, extra. And if the game is free, then, fine. I'm totally fine with dishing out a couple bucks if you have a good game that is worth paying a few dollars for.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you in the shop.
Thank you guys for joining the LCS's Bizarre Adventure. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Iron Buffalo, where you can find all your gaming, coffee, and comic needs, and Under the Sun, where you can find anything you need under the sun.